Good afternoon, everyone. Chris Berryman here, coalition builder and founder of Bringing Humanity Together. This is going to be the first edition that we're actually on the move today because my great partner, Carla Fedigan, is actually in her car. So we're on the move, quote unquote, today. So welcome, everyone, to the Bringing Humanity Together live stream. This is one of the three open forums under the Bringing Humanity Together umbrella, where people can discuss topics related to the workplace and humanity in the workplace in a very positive and constructive way. We want to know what the issues are people are facing out there, because it is our goal to both to work with employers and employees to bring humanity back into the workforce. And as always, we'll be going live every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, all at 3 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, except for Conversation for Humanity, which we have our meet and greet from 2:45 to 3. And of course, the host of today's show, of course, is the memoir, me, Chris Berryman, and we would love to hear from you, whether it be on LinkedIn or on YouTube or on Periscope. And we would love to have that great and engaging conversation with you. So let us know when you're actually watching. And if you're watching this on the replay, use the hashtag replay. And also, if you have any questions, comments, topics you want to bring to the table, we would love to also hear from you too as well. And just to let people know that we're at least going to be able to have 10 people into the conversation on the live. So like I said, if you'd like to join, just let us know. And we'll place in the live link here in the live stream here in just a couple of minutes and everything like that. So here's my two great partners. And we actually got to be able to congratulate Sandra Chernoff on something that was unique today. You need to tell what you have just put on LinkedIn, Sandy.
Well, I just put up that I'm connected to this new project, and I was so shocked at how much attention it attracted. It just kind of blew me away. As I said, I probably had 50 congratulations on putting this up on my LinkedIn profile. But I thought it was time to do it, Chris. I thought I should really add it up there because I have other things that that I've done and that I do. And so I thought this ought to be up there because we're getting ready to launch it. And as soon as we have the website, we will start getting inquiries. So
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And like I said, this is going to be the unique episode that we're on the move. So Bringing Humanity Together is on the move, ladies and gentlemen. Carla, I'm moving and grooving. That is true. Is Cosmo with you today?
Oh gosh, no. He would be a hot mess in the car. No. It was my Wednesdays with my dad. So
nice. Oh, in fact, speaking of Father's Day, what did you end up doing for him for Father's Day?
I took him to lunch, and we agreed to get out and about every Wednesday. Because he's almost 88, and he needs some socialization, and he's getting a little forgetful. And he doesn't do anything other than go to the grocery store and the pharmacy. So I just decided, hey, I'm going to come down every Wednesday. And today was our inaugural day. We went to the bird store, and then we went out to lunch, and he was happy as could be. And I said, so think about what you want to do next Wednesday. And he goes, what do you mean? I said, remember we decided we'd have a date every Wednesday. And he went, oh, yeah. So
that is so awesome. That is amazing that you go up there and see your dad every Wednesday and then do things with him. That is really, and again, that goes back to our conversation. How do you really connect with people? And you really go out your way to spend time with your dad and spend time with him. And that is just really amazing. And
well, I'm blessed that I have the opportunity to do that and what I do, that I can do it from anywhere. So it's truly a blessing in my life.
That it is. That it is.
Good that he's close enough that you can do it, Carla.
Yeah. And eventually one day I'll have to take.
Oops.
That's the internet for you. and I guess the internet didn't like us to be on the move, so they had to cut the feed.
Welcome to technology.
That's technology. Absolutely.
When it's working, it's wonderful, and when it's not, you just want to throw it out the window.
Oh, And also, I've been seeing that you've actually been posting a couple of articles, not only on LinkedIn but also on Facebook on of your skills and everything. And I also like the article that you did about the post-COVID world for a lot of going back to work people and everything like that. That was really interesting.
Yeah, I just posted another one today, and I've got another article that I sent to Dennis, and it's about, oh, actually no, I put it onto my website. I didn't put it up there, but I put it onto the back for a blog to publish later.
Right?
It's what does a good boss do?
Oh, that might tie in very well with today's conversation. Yes. What would a good
So a
boss
good
do?
boss listens, so they communicate well. They are not about themselves. They are about helping their employees to be the best they can be and supporting them in any way that they possibly can. And if they need them to stay late or whatever, they don't make an assumption that it's okay. They tell them why and find out if it's going to be convenient for them to stay late, because they also understand that they have a life outside of work. So they need to pay attention to that. And there's a lot of different things that we've already talked about, Chris, that make a boss good. And it really is more, it's not about them. It's about the people that they work with. And the more they can support them and listen to them and be accountable and, all those different things. Just a minute, let me just see if I can, is it here? Oh yeah, here it is. Okay, so here's what it says. A good boss is a man who isn't worried about his own career, but rather the careers of those who work for him. So he shares information. He puts a lot of thought into his hiring process. He looks for and celebrates wins. He respects your time. He's empathetic. He's accountable. He says thank you. And he doesn't forget that people have lives outside of work. He's a great communicator. He creates other leaders, and he brings everyone together.
Nice.
So,
Nice.
those are the kinds of things that a good boss does. And, like we've already discussed, there are some people that are just naturally good at this, Chris. They don't need instruction. But there are many more people who aren't. And that's one of the reasons why so many businesses fail, because they haven't got the right leadership. And the leadership hasn't created the kind of internal culture that we've been talking about that is respectful and encouraging and supportive and acknowledging. And if you can create that and commit to it and model it, then you'll have a far better workplace and you'll have much less turnover, and you'll probably have happy customers, because if they come in and they continue to see the same people and those people are nice and happy, and because they enjoy where they work, they're going to be nice to the customers. And so if they have a positive experience, they'll keep coming back, and they might even refer other people to the business. So from that perspective, it's generally a win-win. It's these people that are not nice to each other, and we discussed this yesterday. Like why would you not be nice to people? I don't get it. I don't know why you have to be nasty. What's the point of that? It just doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, hello, Carla, you're back.
And not. Well, hopefully she'll get home soon, and then she won't have this cut out all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the nature of technology. You never know, so no worries.
She's in the car, driving around, so she's probably getting into pockets where she hasn't got the Wi-Fi, and that's why it keeps, dropping out. But it's just, again, people need to be nice to each other, because it's just a much more pleasant way to live your life. People who are nasty and whiny and complaining and negative, they're not much fun to be around, Chris.
Yeah, I agree.
It pulls everybody else down, and it's depressing, and it's just really not fun. I really very strongly believe that our life is way too short not to be fun. Because, you know, in the grand scheme of things, Chris, that's your life, you know, seriously. And if we don't make it interesting and fun and a little bit challenging from time to time, then what the heck are we doing? I mean, you know, you have to try and enjoy your life while you can, because, you know, when we get old, and like Carla said, her dad's getting forgetful, and that does happen to a lot of people, particularly if they're not using their brain very much, so they're not opening up new neural pathways and keeping their brain muscle healthy. So it's just a matter of, you know, what are you doing? I mean, it's one of the reasons that Yale's still working, even though he's 82. You know, it keeps him sharp, and it really does, because, you know, he's got to be on his toes, solving legal problems for his clients, and it works. You know, it's a very good thing. It's the reason why I started this job, because I knew I wasn't going to be able to keep practicing hygiene because I was suffering physically too much from it.
And you took it upon a dare from your son.
Yep, I did. Good thing he dared me. But, you know, it's just, I think it's really important for people to have something to do and something that stimulates your brain so that you continue to learn, because I think we should be learning our whole life. I mean, I don't know why we wouldn't want to do that. There's so many different things that you can learn. Why wouldn't you want to? I mean, to me, I get bored if I haven't got new stuff to learn and to look at, and, you know, whatever. To me, it's boring.
Yeah.
That's why I miss not being able to do live workshops right now, because I really enjoy people and I enjoy helping people. And I really like giving the live workshops because it's fun, it's interesting, and I know that I'm helping people to learn things that are going to make them have more success in every aspect of their lives, because that's what soft skills do. And so it just makes me happy to see the aha moments that a lot of people have in the room.
Yeah. Yeah. When you see that light bulb go off and you're like, wow, they just got it, didn't they? Yeah.
Yep.
I love that.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing better. And it's just, to me, I mean, I'm a people person, so I like to be with people. So this pandemic has been very hard for me because we really can't be with our friends. I mean, I talk to my girlfriends, and I told you that sometimes when we go for a walk, I'll phone people, you know, they come out in their porch, we'll have a visit with them on their porch. But it's hard not being able to go out for dinner or play bridge with them or, you know, do other things. But, you know, until everybody's vaccinated, I mean, Yale and I now have had both of our shots, and my daughter's had both of her shots, and my daughter-in-law has had both of her shots, and my son's getting his second one today.
Nice.
So we'll all be fully immunized in the next couple of weeks. And, you know, that's good. But, you know, I still can't go to Toronto because I'm still not ready to get on a plane because I don't think it's that safe. And I'm hoping that things will calm down and there will be more people vaccinated and it'll be safer to fly by next spring so that we can go to Toronto and be with the boys. And they're going off to camp on July 4th.
Oh, that's nice.
And they're so excited because they're going, well, Sam is going, he's the younger one. He's going for the month of July. And Jack, if he enjoys the first month, he's going to stay for August too.
Nice.
So he'll be away essentially.
And I think this is their first like real big trip away from home, isn't it?
Well, it's not for Jack because he's done this for a couple of summers, but this is Sam's first summer where he's going to a sleepover camp. And he's very, very excited about it. I mean, he's such a cutie, and he was jumping all over the place on Sunday when we were talking. He was so looking forward to this. They're going to miss their dog because they just got a dog about a month ago. But what Mark and Kim are going to do is while the boys are at camp, they're sending the dog to a training program, and he's going to be living in at the training program. So he's going to be full time with some kind of a dog trainer. So that'll be sort of interesting. But
so that gives him a break at home for a little bit.
Yeah.
Wow.
They wanted to wait till the boys left, and they're driving them. The camp is outside of Ottawa. It's a 5 hour, where they're going is a 5 hour drive from Toronto. So Mark and Kim are driving the boys. And so then we said to them, well, are you going to stay overnight? No, and then we're coming back. So they're going to be driving for 10 hours. So I said to Mark, well, aren't you going to let Kim do some of the driving? He said, well, we'll see. I said, you'll be exhausted. You can't drive for 10 hours.
No, I wouldn't. No.
So anyway, yeah, so they drive the boys to camp. So, you know, I mean, Sam will have a wonderful time.
Oh, I'm sure.
Does all kinds of activities.
I have been to a couple of camps when I was younger, and especially when I was in the Boy Scouts. My biggest memory when I was especially in the Boy Scouts is we went on a camping trip that was over a week long, and we were camping along the river called the Peace River, and it stretches basically from north of Lakeland and it goes south into Hardy County, and it stretches for a while. So you will kind of make little rest stops and kind of camp out for the night and that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I just loved that. But one day though on the trip, I had a huge migraine, and I don't know where it came from. It just came out of nowhere. And that really kind of dampened things off for at least a day. I had to sleep it off and everything like that. They gave me some aspirin and stuff like that. I had to cover my eyes because the light was just killing me. But other than that, I loved the trip. It was really nice. And there was a couple of, like I said, camps that I went to that was really interactive. One day we went to the Museum of Natural History when I was living in Orlando, and we went to the Orlando Museum when I was there and went to go see that. That was kind of unique, and see all the big dinosaurs and everything, and that was kind of...
I've actually been to Orlando.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's a big place. Orlando is huge.
Yep.
But yeah, and then after that, I went to another camp and went to, if I remember correctly, we went to a museum here in town, and we did that for a whole day and just saw the art and all that kind of stuff. It was really nice. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into our conversation today about connecting. Do we truly connect, not only at work, but actually in our communities each and every single day? And the reason why I want to bring this up again today, because I've been having a lot of conversations on Clubhouse and also on other social media platforms. And do we really hide behind our social media persona that you see that profile there and that's who you are and everything? Or is it someone totally different? And especially when it comes to work, are you the very same person at work than you are at home, or do you actually have a totally different persona, either or, whether it be work or home? Do you actually act totally different than who you are? And I'm been hearing a lot of conversations that we have been really disconnected for a great number of years now because of the age of social media. It has really brought a different, unique perspective into the conversation that we just basically are hiding behind our keyboards and say what we want to say, but can't live up to it or maybe understand someone else's point of view because, see, on social media, if you don't like it, you'll just turn them off and everything like that. But see, when you get engaged with a conversation with somebody at work, you can't run. Well, you could probably run away from them. But then again, you won't acknowledge them, you know. So, Sandy, what's your thoughts on that?
Well, I totally agree. I mean, personally, I don't put anything personal up on social media, Chris, because I basically use the social media profiles for my work. And so I don't have any family pictures or anything up there. I only have, a picture of me, for the profile picture. And then on a couple of the profiles, I have pictures of me actually giving a workshop or doing book promos. And those are the only other pictures that I have up there because my husband got a new client and he Googled her, and she had pictures. You wouldn't believe the pictures of this
Oh
woman.
no.
Yeah, in a bathing suit, and it was just, So I said to him, I said, "Well, Google me, and you'll see what you find." So he did, and he says, "Oh, so you only have boring pictures?" I said, "Well, it's just for work. I mean, people don't need to see who my family is or any of those things. It has nothing to do with what I do at work. I try to keep the social media profiles professional as much as I possibly can, because when I teach interviewing, I tell people, if you have stupid stuff up on your social media, you better take it down, because the first thing a recruiter does is they Google you. And if you've got really stupid stuff up there, it doesn't look good, because it doesn't show you as a very professional person. So, they don't want to hire people that do stupid stuff. So even if you do it, don't put it up on social media. It's okay to have fun, but you shouldn't put, really silly things up on social media. So it's just a matter of, what do you use it for? I mean, I have always been a people person. I like to be social. I like to be with people. Like, I'm never afraid of meeting new people and learning about them, and so on and so forth. And that's the difference between my husband and me. Yale's very comfortable with people that he knows, and he's funny. He makes jokes and all that kind of stuff. But when he's with a group of strangers, he turns into a wallflower. It's just he's not comfortable with a lot of strangers. If he meets somebody new, one person, then he can, speak to them and so on and so forth. But if it's a big group of people that he doesn't know, he's very uncomfortable. And, I think a lot of people are like that. I am very happy to go over and introduce myself and find out what they do and what they like to do and so on and so forth. And it's just how I am. I guess that came from me getting to know my patients, Chris, because I had to. So, but I think that it's very important, particularly when you're in the business world, that you are true to yourself and that you're not a fake person, because I think it's really hard to stay fake, because you'll screw up somewhere down the road. So you might as well be true to who you are, and that way you don't need to worry about making a mistake. People find that you're not what they thought you were. And so it's just a matter of, what are you doing and how are you doing it? And I think that if you are natural and you do it for your business and you do it with your friends and you do it with your family, then everybody knows who you are. And it's just, it's fine. But people who have a lot of different personas, sometimes I think they forget which persona they're supposed to be having with different groups of people, and they can get into a lot of trouble. So I think that's pretty dangerous. I'm just basically, what you see is what you get. It's how it is. And I don't have a bunch of different faces. I mean, I can be serious about things, but it depends what the situation is. But by and large, I would prefer to be positive and find situations where we can have fun, because I think life is too short not to be having fun. That's one of the reasons why I miss my grandson so much, because it's one of the things that we do. We go out and do stuff that's fun, stuff that the boys want to do, because I want them to have memories of me where we just had fun. So it's just a matter of, and with most of my friends, it's the same thing. I mean, we go out, we have a lot of laughs. I mean, again, life is too short. You got to be enjoying each other. And if you're not, you're missing out. So, and there's not much fun in arguing and yelling with people all the time. I mean, what's that all about? And yeah, sometimes you have an argument with your spouse or your sibling, or you have an argument with, a parent or whatever on occasion. But by and large, I think that, we can resolve things in a nicer way, and it's better if we do. It's, as I told you, I mean, Yale and I hardly ever argue. We just really don't. We're generally on the same page, so we don't usually have much to argue about. Yeah. But it just depends. Sometimes couples are so different that they have a hard time getting along.
Yeah.
It can happen. But fortunately for us, we have so much in common. I mean, we both love art, and we like music, and we like going to concerts. We like going to plays. We love to travel. like eating different kinds of food. So, just going to a regular kind of restaurant is sort of dull. So, we'll eat Indian food, we'll eat Japanese food, we'll eat Chinese food, we'll try different kinds of food. We like to. And it's just a matter of what are you doing? And
Right.
we like to have fun. I mean, it's one of the things that we do, even through this pandemic. We've managed to have some fun. It's been hard, but we've managed.
Yeah. So we see Carla back in action. Sorry for the drop. As they say, can you hear me now?
Yeah, it's not your fault. And I was not going to get a ticket trying to get back online in motion. Because plus it's not safe. So
That's true.
I had to
Good
wait till I
thinking,
got off the
Carla.
freeway. And then so if I get dropped again because I'm out in the middle of nowhere and sometimes there's places where we don't have internet connection. I don't know why. Like right inside my neighborhood, but now that I think of it. So if I get dropped again, I'll just jump on as soon as I get home. I'll be home in about 5 minutes. But it's interesting to hear Sandy say about, people getting along together. My husband and I think so much alike. I don't think we've ever really had an argument in 16 years. We might not always be on the same page, and we kind of say, okay, he needs some space, but we get along great. Everybody needs to get along in the workplace too, because you spend more time there than you do at home.
Yep, exactly. And that's why you
So
have to be nice to people. If
we
you're
don't need
nasty
to have
to
people pitting each other against,
No.
one another against each other.
No, that's ugly. It's really ugly. It's uncomfortable. And it's uncomfortable. I mean, people don't want to be in an environment when, they don't know who's going to lash out at them next. I mean, that's not much fun. To put you on edge.
Yeah. And go ahead, Carla.
I said it doesn't make me want to go to work.
No, of course not.
Yeah. And I completely agree with you ladies with that, because I have been in that environment for many, 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 many years, to where even a person of leadership literally would lash out for something that I had no control over in doing, or I didn't even know what was going on, and they still blame me for it, and I'm like, hey, wait a minute, I can't do that. And see, that goes back to the topic of our call. It's about connection. Are we truly connecting with those people to not only understand where they are at, what they are facing, but also are they really connecting with us on that meaningful human level to ask those kind of open-ended and profound questions and say, hey, how are you feeling today? I mean, really, how are you doing? I mean, not just the same old thing that we do every single day. I mean, really get in depth with people and say, hey, is everything okay today? Did your son score a goal at the soccer tournament? Well, things of that nature. If we don't get connected with each other now, when are we going to do it? Are we just going to wait for someone else to be able to pass the torch to somebody else and say, hey, I tried to connect with Chris. It's not my thing. I'm just going to give it to somebody. And if they connect, great. If not, no big deal. But see, I don't believe we can afford to do that, because you never know of an opportunity that might come before you. What happened? I mean, look at what we're doing right here, ladies. If it wasn't for you two ladies, I probably wouldn't be in the position I am in today. And just, I mean, again, just to throw out or something that happens that like today, Sandy just said that she's not partnering here or bringing humanity together, and she posted it on LinkedIn. And then look at the multitude of people that gives her congratulations. That says something.
Well, it says two things. It says one thing that I have a lot of followers, and obviously they pay attention, which is kind of interesting. And the other thing is that I think it was of interest to people, because I had a lot of comment about it. It wasn't just congratulations. It was, oh, that sounds interesting. What does that involve? So people are interested in this. And I think that's why once we get the website up, Chris, I think it's going to fly big time. I do.
Yeah, we got to compete with Carla because she's flying. I can see that right now. She's just like, she's in that car and going.
But it's just, this is, I think this, again, Chris, I think this is a really important thing to be doing. And I think this pandemic has created a lot more problems in the workplace. And that's why I expect once we get that website up, we're going to be very busy.
Well,
Message from Chichi Goma, June
when
23rd,
you just
2020,
said that,
3:15 p.m.
I just really believe
Anything wrong
that
with
maybe
keeping
it
the
has
capsule at 11 p.m.
exacerbated
instead of 9 p.m.?
a
Please
lot
direct me to
of
where I can see the exercise activities to do when I get to do my daily walk. Can I
Okay,
do smoothies 3
someone's
times a
talking
day
to
instead?
us.
I
It
would
must be the radio, huh?
It must be something.
Must be the radio.
Yeah, it must be the radio. So, and then probably there she goes. But like I said, I really believe too as well that a lot of the issues that we've been facing for a lot of years had got actually more exponential and focused because it was right in front of our face the whole entire time, but because of a pandemic, it got more exacerbated, and then people really see, okay, man, we've been working way too hard at an office, so let's move people to home life and see if that works out better. And a lot of people are now saying, wait, I can do just as well at home than going to a 9 to 5 at an office that maybe number one doesn't really recognize me for who I am as a person. Number two, that don't really get in touch with me of who I am and what I'm going to be about and what I do, or even three, connect with me on that deep, meaningful human level that says, "Hey, you're appreciated, you're wanted, you're needed, you want to be heard." To not only express your humanity in your own unique way, but also to lead with your humanity in your own unique way. And that has all been exacerbated because of this pandemic and everything like that. But I think before the even pandemic hit, I just knew full well that this was going to be a big thing for us. I knew way a long time ago. I knew this was going to be a big talking issue that we need to have that conversation about. Because if we're not having the conversation about taking the actions to correct the problem, then are we just, number one, sweeping the problem under the rug? Or number two, are we just letting it go and say, hey, we're going to let someone else try to take care of it and kick the can down the road? Who wants to go through that? I mean, that's the same thing in anything that you do. Leaders in businesses actually put it to somebody else. In other places, they do the same thing. So, like I said, why go do that if you don't correct the problem? Because if you don't correct the problem, what's going to happen? The problem will be there yet again.
Well, I agree with you, Chris, because I think also this pandemic has stressed people out. And when
Oh, yeah.
people are under stress, they don't function very well because they're not breathing properly and their focus is difficult and all those kinds of things. So it has exacerbated things because people are stressed. Some people are depressed. Some people are really having a hard time focusing mentally because it's just,
yeah. And from the connective factor of the human connectedness, a lot of people have now literally, and I hate to bring this up, but I think it's truly relevant to today's conversation about connection, is when people are so distraught that they don't have let's say, a job to go back to because, quote unquote, the remote work can't be there for them or not, or whatever. And what's going to end up happening is they're going to say, hey, if I cannot not go back to work anymore, what do I do now? So then there's some people who would just either sulk in the despair of who they are, and then what's end up happening is then they will get into many different things. They will get into alcoholism. They will go into all these other vices that really become those addictions in their lives to fulfill that void. And that I really don't want to see happen to any one person on this planet. I really don't, because why do we do that to ourselves when there's people out there like us that says, hey, you know what? You have a place here at the table of humanity. You are wanted. You are needed. You need to have your voice heard. You matter. And like I said, there's been a lot of souls lost because of that,
Yeah.
because we don't put our hand out to extend the invitation to connect and say, how can I help and serve you? It's the simplest thing, Sandy, that we can do. I truly believe that can yield the biggest impacts, not only for them, which is the most important of all, but also for us, because you may never know. You may never know. They might give you the greatest gift that you may even not even think that's coming, but it comes to you, even though you're giving the gift to them, and you know that's far greater for them, not for you.
Well, and the thing is, Chris, there has actually been some news articles about this, that liquor sales have been surging because people are drinking a lot more. And, there have been a lot more drug overdoses and different kinds of things for the same reason, that people are trying to find a way to escape from their life right now because they're not happy. And again, human beings basically are pretty social creatures. And this pandemic has taken that away from us. We can't socialize very well. I mean, we can do it the way we're doing it right now. And, a lot of us have spent a lot of time on Zoom and on a lot of these other platforms to visit with friends and family. But it's not the same as actually being with the people physically. I mean, it's nice to stay in touch. And I told you that I said to my little grandson, that we haven't seen you guys for 2 years. And Sam looks at me and goes, we see you every Sunday on Skype. Yeah. But it's not the same, Sam. I don't get my hugs and we're not doing things together. I mean, it's not the same. And yes, it's a good way to stay in touch. I agree. But it's still not quite the same. Even, for example, with our financial team, we used to go down to their offices about 3 times a year to do an update and, sort of talk about what we're doing with our retirement plan and so on and so forth. So now we do it on one of these platforms. And the last time we had a meeting with them, which was almost a month ago, I said to the guy, to Mark, I said, I know that it's good to get the information from you, but it's not the same as getting together with you guys. He said, I know, we really miss getting together with you. He said, we don't even go to the office. They're both working from home.
Wow.
So it's just, he said, we hope that soon this is going to change and that we'll be back in the office and then we'll be able to have our meetings in person.
Didn't I hear that Canada was going to start opening up in July?
Well, some places are, Carla. Like here in BC, we now have only got double-digit cases coming up.
Yeah.
We don't have triple-digit days anymore. And so our chief medical officer is saying that, if this continues, then yes, in a couple of weeks, they will open up more things. But I'm a little hesitant because we only have 75% of the population has had one shot.
Mm-hmm.
Only 22% of us have had both shots. It's not very high, okay? They're working on increasing that. But one of the problems that we have, and I'm seeing it's true in the States too, you have these anti-vaxxers, and they just don't want to get a vaccine for any reason. And that is a problem because those people are not going to be protected, and they can still get the virus and spread it. So it really is a worry how many of these anti-vaxxers we have who absolutely won't get the vaccine. There are more people that are agreeing that this is something that should be done, and they've been opening up clinics all over the place. Like our chief medical officer actually went up north. She's up north right now in some of the smaller communities, and they're going to open up some drop-in clinics to help get people vaccinated.
So do each one of the provinces have separate medical directors?
Yes, every province has a separate chief medical officer.
And so then it's up to each province to decide what is open and what isn't.
Yes, exactly.
Well, I mean, that will certainly help with that sense of isolation that a lot of people have and a lot of stress that goes along with what's going on. Yeah.
I mean,
people are longing for community right now.
Of course they are. They're longing to get hugs from their grandchildren and from, even like it's nice that you get to see your dad.
Yeah.
I mean, unfortunately, my parents have been long gone for a long time. but it's just a matter of, you can't get together. I mean, I have some very close friends, a few very close friends that I spend a lot of time with. And two of the girls, our birthdays are within a month of each other. And so when we get close to our birthdays, we go out and we celebrate.
Mhm.
So we go out for lunch. So what we did early on in this pandemic is we went to, because we did it last summer, because my birthday's the end of July, and Eileen Joe's is the beginning of September, and Bonnie's the end of August. And so what we did is we went to some patio restaurants. So we sat outside and we celebrated together, but we were, on the opposite sides of the table and so on and so forth.
Mhm.
But one of the restaurants we went to is in a garden. And it was so funny because we had the same waiter. We came back to that restaurant twice. The waiter said, "Oh, so whose birthday is it today?"
How cool. How cool is that?
Wow.
That's cool.
It was very funny. We laughed. We thought that was hysterically good. But it's just, I mean, those two girls I've known since I was, little, like 7, 8 years old.
Wow.
We've always done things together. We've done volunteer work together, and we went to summer camp together. Chris talking about summer camps. And the summer camps that most of the kids go to here are in the interior of BC. So they're outside of Penticton, Vernon, Kelowna. And that's the camp that my son went to. But my daughter went to a camp actually in Washington State. And because she had some friends who were going there. So I said, okay, fine, no problem. Get on the bus, go. So we did. But Mark went to the same camp that I went to as a kid.
Wow.
And it's a lake called Lake Kalamalka, which means Lake of Many Colors. And it's a beautiful lake. And the camp is fabulous. They have an 8 dock. And so on one side of it, it's shallow. And on the other side of the H, it's deeper. They have water skiing. They have volleyball. They have baseball. They have basketball. They have a big hall where we did dancing. And they had a big eating hall where, everybody ate breakfast, lunch, and dinner together. And we all stayed in cabins. And some of the older kids stayed in tents.
Wow.
It's just a wonderful camp. And Mark loved it. He just had such a good time. And as a kid, I mean, that's what I did every summer.
Uh-huh.
And, I made friends because there were kids that came from Alberta and kids that came from Washington State and kids that came from other parts of the province. So you met kids from different places. And there were even some kids who came from farther away.
Wow.
And, it was kind of fun. And so, for example, the women's organization that trained me, I had met some of those women, like when I came and, they were from Halifax and Toronto and different places. And we had known each other because of our camping experiences when we were kids. And sometimes the camps got together and did different things. And so, because I think I also told you, when I went to Israel the first time, I went with a girlfriend of mine from hygiene school, not a Jewish girl.
Uh-huh.
We were walking down the street in Jerusalem, and I kept running into people that I knew. And Janice was saying to me, "We're 10,000 miles away from home. How could you be knowing people on the street here?" I said, "That's because I'm Jewish, and the Jewish world is very small." And what happened, because we were there a month after the 6-Day War, a lot of Jewish kids came from all over the States and Canada to help out because so many people were sick and had died, and a lot of the businesses needed help. So these kids came to, take these jobs and so on. And I knew a lot of them from summer camp and from Jewish youth organizations and stuff. So I kept running into people on the street all the time, and Janice couldn't believe it. I said, "Well,
wow." She's probably like, everybody.
Well, it was just so weird, Carla. I mean, It really was. It was even weird for me to be running into some of these people that I hadn't seen even for years.
Oh,
and
wow.
Them on the street in Jerusalem. It was really quite funny. But it was lovely. I mean, it was really nice. And Janice had the time of her life. I mean, we had such a good time. We hitchhiked all over the country.
Wow.
We got rides on UN trucks and Army trucks and, whatever. And it was really nice. I mean, it was fun. And I think I also told you, we bought some Army fatigue. So we actually were wandering around in Army uniforms. And we went to the Kennedy Memorial. There's a beautiful memorial for JFK just outside of Jerusalem. And when we went there, you couldn't get there by bus. I mean, you could only go so far and then you had to walk. And it was 40 degrees Celsius. I mean, it was like 120 degrees because it's summer in Israel. So when we got there, we were like pooped and hot and everything. So I said, Janice, we're not walking back. She said, what do you mean we're not walking back? I said, leave it to me. So when we left, I said, okay, you stand over there. And it's the first tour bus that came down the road. I went out into the middle of the road and I went like this. And I'm wearing an army uniform, right? So the bus driver stopped. He opened the door. I got on the bus, and it was a bus full of American businessmen. And I said, I was just wondering if we could get a ride back to the city because it's so hot. So the businessmen call out, kiss the bus driver. If you kiss the bus driver, we'll give you a ride. I told Janice onto the bus, here's the deal. If we kiss the bus driver, we get a ride. She said, okay. So we got on the bus, we kissed the bus driver. And
bus driver and you got a ride.
But it's just, it is, how do you connect with people? How do you? And we had such a good time. We really did. And we met so many wonderful people. People would even invite us home for dinner. The girls got anywhere to go for dinner, on the bus and, even walking down the street and stuff. People were just so nice to us. And Janice couldn't get over it. I mean, she just was absolutely amazed. I said, well, you see, the Jewish world is all connected. So everybody figures that, there's got to be a connection somewhere. And when you sit down, you play Jewish geography. So you ask where you're from and who your relatives are. And,
yeah.
Well, it's just how it is, Carla. I mean, one night we had a dinner party and there was only one couple at the table who weren't Jewish. But there was a couple that had just moved here from Montreal and another couple who had moved here from Edmonton and from Calgary. And so, of course, going around the table, they're asking all these questions. So finally, Jim, the non-Jewish guy, says, I have no idea what you guys are doing, but it's enough. So funny. I said, we're playing Jewish geography. We're just trying to figure out how we're all connected because we always are all connected.
Yeah. That's funny, Jewish geography.
Well, and it's just, it's about community. And it's how it is. I mean, one of the first times I did a workshop in Saskatchewan, and I went to Saskatoon, and my dad went to university in Saskatoon. And again, the Jewish community was very small, and mostly they lived in small towns. So most of the young people knew each other. So when I finished giving my talk, all these women came up to me. Who are your people? So I told them who my dad was. Yeah, I told them who my dad was, and at least half a dozen of them or more had dated my father and my uncle.
No.
That's funny.
But it's just, I laughed. I thought it was hysterical, but I wasn't surprised. I absolutely wasn't surprised. So, it's in some ways it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Because, you get these connections and as soon as people find out that they know who your dad was or, whatever. So then it's a whole different connection. Yeah. And it's actually very nice and it's kind of fun. So we have fun. I mean, that was another way of it. Janice just couldn't get over it. She was just so amazed because of course she never had this kind of experience before.
Right.
That reminds me of people that say, oh, we're connected by 6 degrees of separation.
Oh, yeah.
Now we know it.
I also had some very close friends who lived in Jerusalem in an area called French Hill, and there's a lot of Canadians that live there. And so we went and visited with all these people, and Janice kept saying, how do you know them? I said, because they're all from Vancouver, and, they just decided to make Aliyah and move to Israel. But I've known them since I was a kid. So, and some of their siblings still live in Vancouver, and I still see them. And so we have all these different connections. She just couldn't get over it. It was just mind-boggling to her that here we are, so far away from home, and I know all these people.
Mm-hmm. How long have you been in Vancouver?
Well, the Jewish community here in Vancouver isn't that big, Carla. There's probably about 35,000 Jews here. And this city has well over 1 million people. So it's not a big, it's not a big community. Toronto and Montreal have the largest Jewish communities in Canada. Mm-hmm.
But how long have you been where you're at?
Oh, well, I was born in Vancouver. So I lived most of my life here. I went to university in Oregon, and I lived in Toronto for a little while. And I actually lived in California for a short time and worked down there too. But for most of my life, I have been here in Vancouver and stayed here. I like it. This is a city that's a reasonable size. It's a beautiful place because we live, the city is situated on the Pacific Ocean and surrounded by mountains.
Mm-hmm.
Because the climate is moderate, people are outdoors doing things all year round. I mean, I think I told you, Carla, I live on a golf course. So unless we have one of our unusual snowstorms, people are on that golf course 12 months of the year.
Wow.
They even golf in the rain.
I would never imagine that for up there.
It's always, there's always golfers there. And we have a lot of bike trails, where they've got designated places for bikes. So people bike all over the place. And people hike in the mountains and they hike along the Fraser River because there are trails to do that. Every golf course has a trail around it, Carla.
Nice.
So, a lot of people just walk around the golf course. Other thing. And it's a very outdoorsy city. Like Gail says to me, he says, every day of the year, you'll see somebody driving around a convertible with their top down. It's true.
So let me ask you this then, Carla. How do you connect with others, not only in work, but also everywhere that you go? How do you usually do that?
How do I connect with them? I'm just friendly with them and, hey, how are you? And I treat everybody with respect and, hey, how's it going? Like I met a girl today who my primary care provider, a physician assistant, they merged with another practice. And so I was like asking her, hey, were you with Stephanie over at the old place and that kind of thing? And hey, how do you like it here? Just asking questions and things like that. And I'm just kind of nosy that way. I'm just try to be friendly with people. And I want to make sure that I'm present too, because it's so easy to be looking at your cell phone or doing this and doing that. You really need to be present when you're connecting with people.
For sure.
And I'm just a friendly, nosy person. I tell everyone have a great day or how's your day going or whatever. It's just the way I am. I'm just very positive.
Yep.
Well, I want to.
I'm the same way. I agree, Carla. Life is too short not to be having fun and be positive. I mean, people who are grumpy and nasty and negative all the time, who wants to be around them?
I can't get away from them fast enough.
No, me neither. They just bring a whole room down. It's awful.
Yeah.
It's really awful. I feel sorry for them. That's how they go through their life.
Yeah, they're very unhappy.
Well, again, the only thing that we have total control over is our attitude. And you get up in the morning and go, this is going to be a horrible day. It'll be a horrible day. Yeah. You get up in the morning and this is going to be a great day. We're going to have fun. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. And you know what? You'll have a great day. Because no matter what comes your way, you'll find a way to deal with it.
My husband actually finally told me that my golf game is about my mindset. That if I say that I'm going to play horrible, I'm going to play horrible. I said, no.
Yeah. Well, we have a new person on the call with us today, a great friend of mine who I've met on Clubhouse, Mandy. Hello, Mandy. How are you doing today?
Hey, Chris, I'm good. Bear with me just a second. I'm trying to get everything set up, and I apologize for the impromptu late showing up, you guys. My phone was acting crazy. I don't know if you guys have iPhones or not. I know he said he had an Android, but apparently the iPhones are not loving this app. So, but glad to be here. And I know I was listening in on my phone, and then once I started to join, I missed the last bit of the conversation. You guys were talking about the lockdown and all of those things. So yeah, thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here and glad to meet both of you beautiful women. He spoke very highly of you guys.
Oh, well, we paid him, so.
That's good, Carla.
Yeah. Where are you from?
North Carolina.
Oh, okay. I'm in Georgia.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm just northeast of Atlanta.
You're practically neighbors.
Yeah, in the South, that makes us neighbors. Yep.
Oh, there we go.
There she is.
Hello, Mandy.
Hi.
Usually it's the Android people that have problems with apps, never the iPhone people. Like the iPhone people get Clubhouse first, and they get this and that and the other first, and then the Android people like me were the stepchildren.
Yeah, I love my Apple products, but I used to have an Android and I never had any issues. And I finally paid, because I'm sure you know that Apple phones are expensive. I finally paid it off, and it's almost like they know that time frame of when the phone needs to start going out. So that's
Yeah.
I made us one.
So
what is it that there's a special term for that? Built in, I can't think of it.
it's built-in upgrade. They know the life cycle of how long a phone would be good for. They've already factored that in. But Mandy, why don't you share with both Sandy and Carla how we met on Clubhouse on that great and engaging conversation that we had that really excited you about what we're doing here and you wanted to be a part of. Again, that goes to connection. That's what we're talking about here today and everything. So kind of introduce yourself to both Sandy and Carla.
Okay. Thank you, Chris. Yeah, and I will also say I hate, with a passion, I hate seeing myself on. That's why I never post any live videos. I do not do live streams. So give me some grace here. But no, I met Chris on Clubhouse a few days ago, and it was titled CFH. And I didn't know what that Clubhouse name meant. But I saw the title of the room, and it really intrigued me because he was invoking people to come in and talk about their voice and their story, and is there strength behind that, and more so, is there any value? And I'm very passionate about that. My Clubhouse name is Healing Humanity, so when he told me what CFH actually meant, I was like, okay, divine intervention here. But when we talk about strength in our own voices and our stories and everything that we've gone through, especially during this pandemic, it's been one of the most trying times for everyone across the globe. And we've really had to reach down and kind of look at ourselves the way that we never had before. And that for a lot of people was the very ugly side, and for a lot of people it was the very good side. And I don't recall which one of you were talking about, not really knowing your purpose, and whether it be working from home remotely or people had lost their jobs. Personally, myself, I was laid off in September due to COVID. I do have 4 children, and they had all become virtual at home. I was in management, so I managed 3 offices in 3 different counties with a lot of people under me. And I was doing it solely by myself, which I did. We parted ways in an amicable way. But I did tell my boss, you definitely need to get more than one person to do this job because it's a lot. But, at that time, I sat in my car and I just cried it out. And then I just sat there and I'm like, why am I crying? Is it because the self-entitlement, where I finally felt on top, where I was making good money, and I didn't see it coming, but she did say, I can't have a manager that's going to be home part-time. I need you here full-time. And I had told her in the office that morning, I will always be a parent over a professional. And she respected that. But I worked so hard to get to where I had been, and losing it blindsidedly and I never saw that coming. But I respected her decision as a business person. It took me probably about 5 to 6 weeks to really work through those emotions and figure out what my purpose was. And, it all came back to me Mandy, did you not tell her you're a parent over a professional? And, I don't know if you guys are moms or parents, but what did we sign up for when we had parents? It's to put them first always. And I was reminded that I had this mentality of, oh, I don't have a job anymore. No, I have the best job in the world, and that's being a mom and making sure that my kids pass their grade, and because they're struggling just like we are as adults, regardless of what age they are. But finally grasping that, and a lot of people will disagree with me, but I started telling people, like, the pandemic was my plandemic. It was a plan and a purpose for me in my life in the moment, that I just needed to repurpose what I was doing in my life, because I would miss a lot of dinners. I would miss a lot of things because I was all over the place trying to manage a company that I really wasn't even passionate about. I mean, it was insurance. I don't even like insurance. It's boring. So, needless to say, I sat on it and I just really reflected on, like, okay, well, what am I going to do now? Because now the kids are out of school and they are also driving me crazy most of the time. But
that's their job, Mandy.
Yeah,
I have 4 boys, and let me tell you something.
They have their purpose, drive mom and dad crazy.
Oh, good Lord. Anyway, yeah. And they eat me out of house and home. But no, I sat down and I thought, I really, truly reflected on what my purpose could be, even outside of a paycheck. And I know, Chris, you had mentioned with your wife talking about monetizing Clubhouse. And I believe it was you, correct?
Yeah, I want to take this as far as wide as we can take it. Yes.
I don't think I added to your share on that, is that my husband, too, had mentioned something about that as well, because not only am I doing the Healing Humanity, I am a medium, so I channel and do all of those spiritual things as well. I don't charge people for that. I feel like it's just healing them. It's a message that needs to be heard from people, and I don't know your thoughts or feelings on that, not trying to weird you out there. But all in all, I was spending a lot of my time away from my family on Clubhouse to help people. And so there was a lot of frustration that came from that from my husband. And that is when, and I believe I spoke on this the other day, Chris, on learning that healthy balance in between, your family life and, what you want to do. But that doesn't need to necessarily mean that we can't do what we want to do within a certain healthy time frame or what have you. Unfortunately, and you're from Georgia, so hopefully you'll get this, a lot of people on Eastern Standard Time, and even in Canada as well, because I've met amazing people on Canada, they come in later in the evening. And that is when I have reached the most people. And if we want to shift back really, because I know I'm rambling, but if we want to shift back to what led me to really be engaged with what Chris's purpose is here, is that, he has the same passion. He said you guys did as well. I'm certainly not any kind of professional. I do not have any like PhDs or RNs or MSPs or anything behind my name. I'm just Mandy.
Who said you needed them?
Exactly. Well, I was getting to that because
I have them and I'm not using them right now. Well, in a non-traditional way.
Yeah, but that's amazing, because I had this like self-limiting belief, and I had this imposter syndrome of thinking I couldn't speak to people that were like higher than me. But let me tell you guys some things. Like, there are so many doctors, psychiatrists, psychotherapists, people that have 20,000 followers following me. They want to hear my voice, and I'm like, I'm just Mandy. Like, I'm just a stay-at-home mom right now. And they're like, no, you're not just Mandy. Like, you are putting that out to the universe, and we're not going to do that anymore. So they retrained my thought pattern, and I'm not just Mandy. I'm here for a purpose. And when I started stepping into that, as I shared with Chris the other night, since I've been on Clubhouse, which was January 31st of 2021, I am very proud to say, I don't boast about it, but I am proud, because this goes back to the question of his room. Is there strength in our story, or Are you being heard? And is there any value behind that? And I'm sorry if it wasn't exact, Chris, on the title of the room, but that's where my heart spoke to me, and that's how I took it. But there have been 2 people that have had suicidal ideations through this whole pandemic and trying to find their purpose. And had it not been for someone like myself just wanting to be there for them, like in a holistic way, I want nothing out of it. I just want to be there for you. One of them was in, oh gosh, I always mess this up. Prague. And then the other is in the States. And so, if that just goes to show that it doesn't matter if we're next door neighbors or we're best friends or we're relatives, we can literally talk to strangers across the entire globe. And there is so much strength and power in our voices. And if we can do more for people to spread that love, to help them understand that what they're going through, they are not alone in, because I have been through hell and back in my life. And had it not been for my stories and my personal struggles, I wouldn't be able to reach out on that very personal level with other people at this state in my life. So as I had told Chris in the room as well, I used to think, why me? Why me? Why me? Why does all of this stuff keep happening to me? And no, I'm not just talking about losing a job. It gets so much more deeper. But it's reframing your mindset into thinking, okay, well, this happened for a purpose, and how am I going to shift that narrative into making something good of it? Because I really feel like the cards that were dealt in life, they're for a reason. I am a woman of faith. So and I don't want to offend anyone here, but I just feel like, well, I don't know if you can see behind me, but one of my favorite scriptures, that's bad. Anyway, it sits above my bed. This was the only quiet place, by the way, you guys, right now. But it's Jeremiah 29:11, and it's, for I know the plans for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. And it's something that really resonated with me from a young age, because I thought, again, like, why? I'm just one person, and I was always told, well, the Lord's not going to put more on you than you can handle. And then it kept getting loaded on. You see those backpackers, trekking across mountains, and they're like holding 5,000 pounds of luggage. I don't know how they do it, but that's just like how I felt. And I was like, can I take the backpack off now?
Yeah.
But if people could just learn that your baggage is your baggage, but you can take it off, and you can take it off together, like sit at the campfire together and talk about your stories, because it's like talk therapy, honestly. When we're talking about healing humanity, we have to sit down and really just get our hands dirty in our own mess and not be ashamed of it. And I'm no longer ashamed to say a lot of the things that I say, but I have reached people and they were like, I would have never guessed. Well, you never asked. So,
Yeah.
And then when I invoke that conversation, they bring it back to me and they're like, oh, okay, she's safe to talk to. So I can tell her all of these things about me now. And it turns into a beautiful healing conversation. So I was just really enthused that Chris is seeming to be going in the same motions as me and wants the same for people as well. And hopefully you guys, from what I've heard. So again, I'm just happy to be here, and I'm going to be quiet now. But thank you so much for having me.
Well, I believe, like you do, that the good Lord or your God or whatever you want to call it, they're in charge, and things happen for a reason. And it's okay that you got let go of a job. I got let go of a job, but you know what I did? I left a 50 to 60 hour work week getting paid for 40 on the table when I left. And when I left, God said, okay, you wanted to take your plan B to your soul line of work. So here we go. And I said, okay, God, I got to do this. And I got to do it. 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 And I walked away for the first time in my life after being a single parent for 10 years. And even after that, always concerned about money and everything. I just knew that it would all work out. And that's when, people go, oh yeah, give it up to God. But do you really give it up to God and actually believe in his plan? That there things happen for a reason, you had to go through those hardships with your work situation to realize what your priorities were, that your priorities were your children. And they're still your priorities. You go to the end of the earth for your kids. We all would. And so you start rebuilding around that and deciding what it is that you want to do. And does this fit into my priority of family? And you build around that. So many people don't do that. They're all about having a job. They're all about having the money. They're all about having that 6 figures. And they lose moments with their kids. You don't get those moments back, And years ago, when my kids were smaller, they're 34 and 36 now, I don't think I appreciated it as much as I would now if I had kids. I'm not going to have kids, but I tell all people that you don't get those moments back. You need to spend time with your family and your friends and really open that up and don't close yourself off. Get together somehow during this crazy pandemic. Figure out how you can get together because we all are one community and we need to be in touch with one another.
I think that's the beautiful thing too about Clubhouse. I don't know if you guys are on it, but so many people came on because they just needed that human interaction, whether it was, it wasn't in person because we've all been locked down and we've been going through just such a crazy time. But just having the audio and being able to talk to people, I think that's where it starts. And the beautiful thing about it is, had it not been for that, like I would not be talking to you, beautiful souls, today. But I mean, you're right. You're absolutely right there. And the thing about it as well is, also when I reflected back on losing my job, like it was never serving me. What was I getting out of it other than other people constantly and beating myself down to the ground and being exhausted and taking in all the heat from people, especially being in that type of position? Was that serving me? And Chris will probably laugh because I know he doesn't like curse words, so I apologize. But one of my mottos, I'm going to say it, Chris, I hope that's okay, but something that I tell people is if it's not serving you, let that go, or you can say stuff. But that's something that has really resonated with a lot of people because when I say that to someone, they're like, wow, I never really thought of it that way. Well, yeah, why haven't you? What are you gaining out of it? If you were to die tomorrow, do you not think that boss of yours would find somebody in the next week to replace you?
When I left, I was telling you, everyone was like, oh my God, I can't believe she's left. And I said, you need a plan B. That was my parting words. Oh, I'm good. I don't need a plan B. And one by one, people were getting laid off. And I said, so how's that non-plan B working for you?
Yeah.
Well, the other thing is this, Mandy, life is too short to be stuck in a job that you really don't love.
Yeah.
And it's very, it's a waste of our time.
Yeah.
And the point made about our kids, when they're small, that's when we need to spend time with them because that's when they will spend time with us. When they get older, they want to spend time with their friends. They don't want to spend as much time with us. So if we've missed those opportunities, we've missed them. I mean, my kids are 43 and 46 now, but I have 2 grandsons. One is 8 and one is 11. And I like to spend time with them. Unfortunately, they live in Toronto and I live in Vancouver. So right now, I can't be with them. But I have spent a lot of time with them over the years because when they were really small, even before they started school, I used to go 4 times a year to Toronto. And I would do whatever they want to do. They want to ride their bikes. They want to go to a park. They want to go swimming, whatever they wanted to do. I didn't care. it was just an opportunity for me to spend some time with them. And that's what I did with my kids when they were little. We spent a lot of time together. I only worked part-time. I worked 2 days a week when my kids were small, because I'm a hygienist and you can do that very easily in hygiene. Other jobs are not necessarily that easy to do part-time, but hygiene is. And what I did is I had a babysitter who came to my house. So my kids didn't even have to go out to daycare or whatever. She came to my house and the kids loved her. She was a lovely lady. But it's just, our life is too short. We need to enjoy it, and we need to enjoy our families and our friends, because otherwise we miss those opportunities. And this pandemic has really taught us that, because we are so separated from our family and our friends right now. And human beings are very social creatures. And it's very hard for us not to be socializing. And it's nice to do this. I mean, this is very lovely. But the truth is that it's not the same as actually being with people. And it's hard. I mean, it's very hard. I do live workshops normally, but right now groups cannot gather. So I've been doing webinars. And as I said to Chris, I don't find them nearly as fulfilling, and I don't think they're nearly as effective, because it's very difficult to make them very interactive. And my sessions are not lectures, they're very interactive workshops. I teach a concept, and then I give the participants something to do. And then I teach another concept and so on, because I have a degree in education. So I know how to structure those sessions. But to me, I want them to have fun in their learning experience. I even put games into some of my programs, and I bring prizes. So the team that wins gets prizes.
Good.
Well,
Why there.
But why shouldn't adults have fun?
Right.
There's life again. It's too short. So it's a matter of people understanding that there's no reason why you can't enjoy your work. And it's a matter of finding something that you do enjoy. So something that fulfills your passion. I was a clinical dental hygienist for over 40 years, Mandy. I frankly, at this point in time, do not miss cleaning teeth. But I do miss the people. I miss my colleagues, and I miss my patients. And I do miss that part of the job. But doing what I do now, where I'm mingling with a lot of different people, and I have a huge variety of clients in every industry you can possibly imagine, because people told me, oh, you need to figure out your target market. And I said, okay, name me an industry that doesn't have people. They kind of look at me like I was nuts. I say, well, I solve people problems. So, it doesn't really matter what industry it is. I'm not going after any in particular. They all have problems because they have people.
Good. I love that.
It's just what it is. I mean, and that's what soft skills do. Soft skills resolve people problems. I mean, that's what it's for. And it's just a matter of, I always sit down with a new client, whether it's an individual who I'm going to do one-on-one coaching with, or it's an organization, and I usually deal with the HR manager. And I want to figure out very specifically what they're looking for, so that I can design a program that is going to include elements that will address their specific needs, so that it will be beneficial to their people. And that's what I've always done. A lot of training companies don't do that, but that's what I do. And I want to make sure that they're happy and that they're going to get what's going to be beneficial to them. And you can't do that if you do generic workshops. It just doesn't work. So it's just a matter of, what are we doing? And we need to be doing things that matter to us, that we enjoy, that give us good feelings back. And, like you said, you're helping these people. Well, it's really important to walk away feeling good because you saved somebody. And it is important. And that's why I went into healthcare. And now I'm just helping people to be successful in every aspect of their lives by giving them skills that most programs don't give them. So it's just, it's helpful in that way. And that's why I do what I do. It's my retirement job, Mandy.
Hey, it's amazing. Hats off to you, because more people like you.
And I started it because my son dared me.
Literally on a dare, Mandy, on a dare.
That's what he did. He dared me.
And you held him to that dare, didn't you?
Well,
what does he say now?
I've thanked him many times. And in the book that I've written, I wrote a book. It's called 5 Secrets to Effective Communication. And in the introduction in the book, I thank my son, because if it weren't for him, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing, and I probably wouldn't have written the book either. So he helped me to move forward. He was 17 years old when he dared me, man.
Oh,
He's now 43 and he has the 2 little boys. But it's just, again, kids are like sponges. And if we're not setting a good example and spending, quality time with them, what are we teaching them?
yeah.
It's very important that we give them a good role model so that they can turn out well. And my son's a great dad. I mean, I just love watching him with his boys. And another thing, and Chris knows this, I treated my son like you treat a daughter. I taught him how to cook and bake and do laundry and clean. And I even taught him how to iron shirts, because I figured, if he was going to be on his own, which he was for a while, he's got to be able to take care of himself. My daughter-in-law thanks me all the time because she's not very domestic. So,
I love it.
and he's a great example to his 2 little boys, because they see their dad doing all this stuff and they like to help him. So it's really good. And I told Chris this too, that when the boys were really small, when I would come out, one of the first things I started doing with them was baking with them. And so when I come, I get these big hugs, and then they look at me and they go, "What are we going to bake?" The little one likes to go through cookbooks and find new things to bake. The older one likes to bake a couple of things, and he just likes to make those. But the little one, he likes to try everything. So he's really fun. And it's just, kids are different, and it's sort of fascinating to see the differences and to enjoy them. And we're fortunate we have one of each, but they've got these 2 little boys, and they couldn't be more different. But it's wonderful to see. I mean, they talked about having a third, and my daughter-in-law was very nervous that she'd have a 3rd boy. And I said, well, there's no guarantee. That's probably what you'll have.
Hey, this is coming from somebody that has 4 boys, and I wanted a girl, but
it doesn't always work out.
yeah.
But it's just, again, we need to enjoy our kids. And I think that that's what we do, especially when they're little, when they are willing to spend time with us. Because I know that as these boys get older, they won't want to spend as much time with me. And that's the reason why I really wanted to put in my time while I could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, I got to go too, Chris.
All right. Thank you, Sandy. We'll see you tomorrow on Humanity Happy Hour.
I told you, I'm playing golf with my daughter tomorrow.
Nice. Hope it don't rain.
No, it's not going to rain. It's very hot here. We have Florida weather right now, Chris. Unbelievably. But anyway, it's very nice meeting you, Mandy.
Yes,
Take
so
care
nice
of
to
yourself
meet you.
and
Thank you
enjoy
for
your
having
boys.
me. Thank you, Chris.
Yeah. See you later.
Okay.
See you tomorrow.